Hello friends, welcome to lecture number 38. In today's class, we'll study about a device which is called cyclotron. While studying this cyclotron, we will be using the concepts what we have studied in lecture number 37. Okay, so if you have not seen that video, please kindly go and see that video, lecture number 37, and then come to this video, that is cyclotron. Now, what is a cyclotron? It's a device it's a device used to accelerate the heavy charged particles like proton, neutrons, alpha particles, etc. Okay, we need to accelerate these particles. Got it? They're to high speeds, to very high energies, Okay, now it was invented by Lawrence and Livingstone in the year 1934 at Berkeley, California University. Okay. Now it is based on which principle? So now let us talk about the principle. So the principle is this comes as one mark question. Write the principle of cyclotron. The frequency of revolution of the charged particles in a magnetic field is independent of its energy. Okay, so this is the principle. The frequency of revolution of the charged particle in a magnetic field is independent of its energy. Then the next one which comes is your construction. Now how can we design it? So for that we will see that there will be a magnetic field which is cross here. That means the magnetic field is into the plane of the paper. Then we have got two D's. They are called D's because the shape is of a D shape. Okay, that's why. Clear? Then what happens? You keep either proton or alpha particles here. They accelerate. They will move in this circular path, the purple color which I have shown, and they will come out of the target. They will come out in this path to hit the target. And in between this D1 and D2, there is an oscillator whose job is to change the polarities of the D's after certain time intervals. Okay, so let us go for the construction part. In the construction, the first point you can mention, it consists of two small hollow metallic half cylinders D1 and D2 called D's, as they are in the shape of D. Okay, the second one, they are mounted inside a vacuum chamber, vacuum chamber between the poles of a powerful electromagnet. Okay, the third point you can write here as the D's are connected. The D's are connected to the source of high frequency alternating voltage, which I have shown as an oscillator in the diagram. Okay, which I have shown it as an oscillator in the diagram. Okay, then the fourth point, the charged particles are pulled out of the D's by a deflecting plate through a window, that is the target window, which I have shown. So you can write here the charged particles are pulled out of the D's by a deflecting plate which is generally negatively charged. Okay, through a window which I have shown in the diagram, and through that window it will hit the target. Okay, then the fifth part, this whole device is to be kept in high vacuum because the air molecules we should not allow the air molecules to collide with the charged particles. This can be the fifth point, that the whole device is in high vacuum so that the air molecules may not collide with the charged particle. Okay, so next comes, after the construction, the working, which is very important, the working of this. So working of this oscillator. So now we need to understand the working of this oscillator. For that, I have taken the help of D-shaped, which I have shown D1 and D2. These are the two D-shaped. And here cross means the magnetic field is into the plane of the paper. So that indicates that my particle is moving in one plane and the magnetic field is perpendicular to it. Okay, and what is this? This is your oscillator, which I have told. Right, now suppose here I have a particle which moves in this direction. I have a proton here, okay, and initially this D2 is negatively charged. If it is negatively charged, it will try to attract the proton towards D2 and it will enter with certain velocity v. Since v and b are mutually perpendicular to each other, in my previous class I have already told you that it will go for a circular path. Okay, in this direction the proton will move. Now by the time it reaches this point B, I name it as point B. This I name it as point A. Okay, so by the time the proton reaches point B, the oscillator will change the polarity and D1 will become negative. Initially, while the particle was approaching towards D2, why was it approaching towards D2? Because the D2 was negative and D1 was positive. Now, when it reaches point B, the oscillator changes the polarity of the D's, and the particle reaches, when the particle is at point B, the D1 becomes negative. So it will again be attracted. So when it is going to be attracted, you'll find the velocity will increase. I'll give you an example. Suppose you are running, somebody pushes from behind, your speed will increase. Similarly, when the particle was moving in D2, it was moving with certain velocity, but when it approached point B, at that particular point, more attraction was there from D2 because of its negative polarity, for which the velocity increased, and if the velocity will increase, the particle will move with a larger circular path. Okay, so this is point C, this is point D. Okay, so by the time the particle, the proton reaches point D, again D2 will change polarity, it will become negative. It will go on and on. Likewise, we can increase the velocity of the proton just by revolving it in the two D's, D1 and D2. Is it clear? So now let us write it down. Whatever I have explained, let me write down in this in the form of points. First is a proton to be accelerated is kept in the gap, Okay, second point, let D2 is negative, right? Then proton gets attracted towards D2 Okay, third, due to the magnetic field which is into the plane of the paper, the proton traces a circular path and reaches the gap again Okay, so by this time the D1 becomes negative. Okay, now who does this job? This job is done by high frequency oscillator. Okay, done by oscillator. And the proton is dragged towards D1, okay, with a higher velocity. Okay, and the fifth one, it traces a circular path in D1 with a higher radius. The radius is higher because the velocity is higher. Okay, so this is how we can increase the particle's velocity. Within bracket its energy. Okay, to our desired values, and they can come out of the device to do some specific jobs. Okay, so this is all about the working of the cyclotron. Then comes the important one, that is the theory part. What all theory is related, how the question comes, and what all derivations are there. So do it as the theory part. So it is quite obvious if some particle moves in a circular path. So here the magnetic force provides the necessary centripetal force. That's why it is able to move in a circular path. Centripetal force. Okay. So the magnetic force is how much from the previous class? We know q v sine theta, and here velocity and magnetic field are mutually perpendicular to each other. So sine 90, this will be equal to mv square by r. Okay. So if we really want to find out what should be the radius of the particle which makes the circular path, that will be mv by qb. 1b was gets cancelled out here, so r will be this much. We can also find with what velocity it is moving. From this expression also we can calculate its velocity. It will be qbr by m. Okay, so these two informations we can get. Then what about the time period of revolution? Then the time period t will be equal to 2 pi r divided by the velocity. Okay, so what will be 2 pi r, you can write down as mv by qb into 1 by v. So v gets cancelled out, so t will have 2 pi m by qb. Okay, so this is the time period. Now this is the time period for the particle to complete one circle. Okay, now what will be the time taken to complete half the circle? Time taken to describe a semicircle. How much it will be? Small t, that is capital T by 2. So we have pi m by qb. So please try to understand. For completing the half circle, t will be 2 pi by qm. That means with this time pi by m divided by qb, with that time the oscillator should also change its polarity. For changing that polarity, it should take this much time. Okay, this is one information from here. Then comes the frequency of revolution. Frequency of revolution. Frequency of revolution of the particle. Okay, we know frequency is 1 by time period. Here frequency is denoted by f within subscript c, fc. And what is this fc? This is called cyclotron frequency. Question will come directly, find the cyclotron frequency. Okay, so the cyclotron frequency. So what is the formula for the cyclotron frequency? It is qb by 2 pi m. Okay, this is the frequency or the cyclotron frequency. Clear? Now, can we find out the kinetic energy of the particle? Yes, we can also find out the kinetic energy of the particle. What it will be? Half mv square. So half m. V how much? We know V will be equal to qbr by m. So let me substitute here qbr by m whole square. Okay, 1 m will get cancelled out. You will be left out with q square b square r square divided by 2m. This is the kinetic energy of the particle. This is one of the expressions you have to remember, because problems will come for this. Okay, so this much, the cyclotron frequency, kinetic energy, time period, and your radius. So these are the 4 important equations or the formulas which you have to remember while because questions from cyclotron will require these kind of formulas. Okay, then comes, does this instrument have some limitations? Yes, it does have. So let us go for limitations. Okay, the first point for the limitation is, you see here, have you thought of, can electrons be accelerated? No, this is one of the biggest limitations. Electrons are also particles. So electrons can't be accelerated. Okay, so this is one of the limitations. Now, what is the reason? Because a large increase in their energy increases their velocity to a very large extent. Okay, so for which the electron will be thrown out of your this oscillating field provided by the oscillator. So electrons cannot be accelerated. The second one is the neutrons being neutral can't also be accelerated. Neutrons being neutral can't be accelerated. This is another limitations. Okay. Third limitation is from relativity. Relativity. Okay. So let us try to understand. We all are familiar. In my first lecture, in fact, I have already told you that m is equals to m naught divided by root over of 1 minus v square by c square. M naught is the rest mass of the electron. Okay. Now in this equation, if you observe minutely mathematically, if I am increasing the value of v, that means the velocity of the particle increases, then what will happen to m? You'll find your value of m will also increase. But if you look at the formula for frequency, which you have just now calculated, f is equal to qb by 2 pi m. So m is increasing. This implies my f has to decrease. So if the frequency is decreasing, then what happens? It breaks the resonance condition. Then it breaks the resonance condition. Okay, now the question that comes to your mind is, sir, what is resonance condition? Remember, for resonance we require two frequencies. Okay, so here there are two frequencies. The first frequency here is the frequency with which the particle is moving in the circular path through d1 and d2. The second frequency is the frequency for switching the polarities of the d's, which is done by the oscillator. Okay, now when both the frequencies are matching, everything is okay. But if the frequency of the oscillating particle decreases, then the frequency of the polarity changing of the polarities of the d's, it will not be equal, so it breaks the resonance condition. So we can write here is the applied voltage is adjusted so that the polarity of d's is reversed in the same time that it takes the ion to complete one half of the revolution. But okay, one half of the revolution. This is called the resonance condition. Okay, question comes for 1 mark. What is the resonance condition in case of cyclotrons? It is the applied voltage is adjusted so that the polarity of the d's is reversed in the same time that it takes the ion to complete one half of the revolution. But what we observe here, if we go for higher velocities, if we go on increasing the velocity of the ion, the frequency decreases, which will now not match with the applied frequency for reversing the d's polarities, and the resonance condition will be broken. Okay, so these are the three important limitations of your cyclotron. Okay, coming to the usage, it has got a large scale usage also, very important usage, right? The first use we can mention here is it is used to synthesize new materials or substances. So you can write to synthesize new materials or substances. Okay, the second one is to create to create new radioactive substances. What are radioactive substances? We'll read in nucleus chapter. To create new radioactive substance for medical diagnosis, okay, or treatment, okay. Third point is to bombard alpha particles, to bombard alpha particles to atomic nuclei. Okay, these are the uses. So this completes your cyclotron. Thank you for going through this video. Do not forget to subscribe my channel. Any queries you have, you can mail me in the mail ID which is given below. Okay. Thank you for your kind patience.